بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. 16th chapter, the author says باب خصال الفطرة. Says باب خصال الفطرة, which means the different practices and the different acts recommended or obligatory, the different traits of al-fitra, that which is called al-fitra. The word khisal meaning plural of khasla, practices of fitra. The word fitra, scholars of Islam have a very long debate on its meaning. Exactly what does it mean? Some of them say the fitra means the deen. Some say the fitra means the natural way that Allah created the human being, whether it's physical, mental and spiritual, or just physical. Okay? Al-khilqa, for example. Some people say that the fitra is al-khisal al-hasana, is the fine things to do, the fine practices. Okay, very long, extensive debate and argument on exactly what the word fitra means. It seems apparent, and Allah knows best, is that the fitra has interchangeable meanings, different meanings. Sometimes the fitra means the deen, the aqidah. Sometimes the fitra means tawheed al-rububiyyah, acknowledging Allah Azza wa Jal as the only Lord, the only sole creator, the one who gave life, and obviously to necessitate tawheed al-ilahiyyah, for Allah to be worshipped along with any partner. Sometimes the word fitra, perhaps it means the personal hygiene, physical hygiene. Sometimes the word fitra means the natural, pure way that the human being was made. Sometimes the word fitra is pertaining to a pure mindset, such as the hadith regarding the Prophet ﷺ being offered the wine and being offered the milk, and he chose the milk. Okay, and it's mentioned that he chose the fitra. And if he would have taken the alcohol, then his ummah would have been astray. They would go astray. So that's in brief what seems to be the apparent meaning of the word fitra, that it doesn't have just one specific meaning nor one specific usage. With that being said, this chapter is going to talk about hygiene, physical hygiene and physical appearance, with regards to fingernails, toenails, with regards to one's mustache, with regards to one's beard, a man's beard, with regards to one's pubic hair, and things like this. The underarms, armpits, of course. This is what's meant here in this chapter. The first hadith, hadith 145, the author rahimahullah says, Hadith Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الفطرة خمس أو خمس من الفطرة الختان والاستحداد ونتف الإبط وتقليم الأظفار وقص الشارب. Then we have hadith 146, حديث ابن عمر عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال خالف المشركين وفروا اللحى وعفوا الشوارب. حديث ابن عمر 147 رضي الله عنهما قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم انهكوا الشوارب وعفوا اللحى. Hadith 145, Abu Hurairah's narration, he says that the Prophet ﷺ said, 5 things are from the fitrah. 5 things are from the fitrah. The first is al-khitan, circumcision. The second is al-istihdad. And what's meant by al-istihdad is shaving the pubic area. وَنَطْفُ الْإِبْط, plucking the armpits. وَتَقْلِيمُ الْأَظْفَارِ, trimming the finger and toenails. وَقَصُّ الشَّارِب, and trimming one's mustache. Hadith 146, narrated by Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma, the Prophet ﷺ said, be different than the mushrikeen. Let your beards grow long and remove your mustaches. Hadith 147 is also reported by Ibn Umar. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, remove the mustache, trim the mustache, and let the beards fall low. Let the beards hang down. These 3 hadiths teach us the different khisal of the fitrah, the different practices and the things of the fitrah. Alright? The first hadith, Abu Hurairah's hadith, mentions that there are 5 things from the fitrah. not necessarily meaning these are the only 5 things, and it's restricted to these 5 things, but these are from them, from the important, vital practices of the fitrah are these 5. The first, he says, al-khitan, is to circumcise. Hadith does not specify man or woman. We have somewhat of a detailed explanation in one of our question and answer sessions on Mufti Q&A, on which we explained the ruling of female circumcision and female genital mutilation, and what's meant by the circumcision. In another session as well, another question and answer session, we spoke on the ruling of a male getting circumcised. So we have questions and answers on both of them, in which we gave some type of detail with regards to a man being circumcised and a woman being circumcised. In brief, in here, we know that the scholars of Islam, they differ on the ruling of a man getting circumcised. Some say it's mandatory, others say it's preferable. As far as a woman getting circumcised, then they don't necessarily differ on it being obligatory or not, but they differ on it being recommended or not. Is it recommended or is it not recommended? And we also explained the correct meaning and the proper understanding of the Islamic circumcision of a female. And the Islamic circumcision of a female is not the mutilation of her genitals. It is not the total and absolute removal of her clitoris. It is not the total and absolute removal of her labia. It is not stitching and sewing up her vagina at all. That's not what's meant in the deen. As far as culture, then that's a different story. The culture in Northeast Africa, the culture in Afghanistan, that's a different story. That's not Sunnah to Nabi. That's not the Hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So therefore, once more, for Muslims who may be confused or ignorant, who may have heard doubts of the non-Muslims, you can go on YouTube now and watch many videos of the different malicious, malevolent, nasty, venom-spewing Christians, atheists who talk about Islam, and Islam promotes mutilation of a woman's body, and so on and so forth. That's not from the deen at all. We explained the proper understanding of a female being circumcised, and it is the removal of a small portion of her clitoris with the purpose of managing, this is what the people of knowledge say, and it's not my opinion, my view, of the purpose of managing and lessening a woman's sexual desire. As far as circumcision of a man, then is to remove the skin, the extra skin around the head and the tip of the penis with the purpose of purification and cleanliness. With the purpose of purification, of cleanliness, and also for the purpose of when a man has sexual intercourse with a woman, for it to be simpler or easier for him to enter and penetrate her with the purpose of producing children in a more effective manner. This is in brief here. We explained it in detail there. If you want the details, you can go back to those videos in which we mentioned the khilaf of the ulama regarding the ruling of circumcision for men and for women, the purposes, the wisdoms of it, and the proper and improper understanding of male and female circumcision in al-Islam. Khairan, inshallah. What's important is that it's from the fitrah. It's from the fitrah. Everyone can agree that it's from the fitrah with regards to men. That it's legislated. Is it legislated? Is it from the sunnah? Is it a good thing to do for a woman? That's a different story. Well, as we explained, those hadith that speak on female circumcision are extremely weak. They are not authentic. As far as the practice of the Arabs, the general things like this, that's a different story. Khairan, inshallah. Moving forward, the hadith then says, wal-istihdad. In other words, to remove the hair around one's pubic area, whether it's with a razor or not. Shaving it, hair removal, nair, clippers, trimmers, however a person removes it. And that also applies to men and women. Applies to a man, they say, the hair above the private area, and it's not necessarily to remove the hair beneath, meaning beneath a man's testicles and around a man's testicles, but they say above and around the penis. Now, the purpose of this obviously is for cleanliness, the natural way. And if that's the case, then the one is going to say you should remove all of the hair around the testicles as well, the inner thighs as well, to the best of your ability. Obviously, this is going to apply to a woman as well. It then says, وَنَتْفُ الْإِبْتِ, and to pluck the armpits. Whether it's plucked, whether it's shaved, whether it's removed with hair remover, it doesn't matter. What's important is that the hair is removed from the armpits for the purpose of cleanliness. وَتَقْلِيمِ الْأَظْفَارِ, and trimming one's fingernails and one's toenails, for men and for women. And that is also for the purpose of cleanliness, for the purpose of eating, for the purpose of man not being like an animal and looking like an animal that has claws. Well, that's what the people of knowledge say. وَقَصُّ الشَّارِبِ says, and trimming the mustache. The purpose of cleanliness, the purpose of food, and the purpose of the etiquette of eating, and the purpose of one's appearance as well. And a person being tidy and neat with regards to his mustache. Now, so these things here are from the fitrah. Most of the ulama, some of the ulama say that there's ijma' that these things are not necessarily obligatory. Some of the ulama say that they are obligatory. Abu Bakr ibn al-Arabi, the famous Maliki alim, he held the view that they were wajib, they were fard. And there are others who may have the view that some of these things are fard, if not all of them, such as the mustache, whereas the hadith of Zayd ibn Arqam in the Jami' of Tirmidhi and the Sunan of Nasa'i clearly says, مَنْ لَمْ يَأْخُذْ مِنْ شَارِبِهِ فَلَيْسَ مِنَّا, he who doesn't take from his mustache isn't from us. Also, there are different hadith regarding the time period of the mustache and of the nails. Of halq al-ana, the removal of the pubic hair. With regards to the time limit not being left for more than 40 days. That's in brief here. Hadith 146 and 147, both of Ibn Umar prove the obligation of opposing the mushrikeen, of being different from the mushrikeen, and of trimming the mustache and allowing the beard to grow long. Well, alhamdulillah, we have explained this issue with detail in our lessons on al-kaba'ir, the major sins. Also, we made it into a separate video with regards to the fiqh of trimming the mustache. Do you shave the mustache? Do you trim the mustache? Do you clip it over the lip? And the ruling of trimming one's beard. Is it permissible to trim the beard? Can you cut the beard? Can you shave the beard? Can you trim the beard? We've explained that in detail. In brief, it's obligatory to trim the mustache. It's permissible to shave the mustache. But something has to be done, clipping, trimming, or shaving it, one of the three. And the beard is not to be touched. And the strongest view, and Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best, is that the khilaf is either going to be regarding the qabdah or nothing at all. As far as trimming it and shaping it up and managing it and making it look quote-unquote presentable, we consider those views to be very weak and not to have any strong basis in the sunnah and in the way of the salaf as-salih. The fuqaha, the different madhab fuqaha, they came later on and they came with a different ta'wilat and their different understandings. They say that as long as you have some hair on your face, it's okay, it's alright. If you have a 2 o'clock shadows, it's long, it's still lihya. That's not what the hadith says. The hadith says waffiru, arkhu. The hadith says a'fu, which literally means to leave them. Don't touch the beard. So that's the safest view, is not to touch the beard and let it grow naturally. Many of the Salaf Salih, as we've explained before, they will do the qabdah, they would grab their beards, and they would trim the hair that exceeded their fists, whether they made Hajj or Umrah, or whether it was regarding just general tidiness. And many of these Sahaba and the Tabi'een who did it, they are those who narrated this hadith. So some of the ulama, they say that this was their understanding, this was the fahm of the Salaf. Allah Azza wa Jal sure knows best. We're not going to repeat that argument and that discussion right here. Also, the concept of the modern world today and what the media has done in portraying any man who has a beard as being a savage, uncouth, bum on the street, a lumberjack in the woods with a big beard that stinks and smells, or a terrorist, okay? And the person who sees a beard, they say they think of the Taliban or ISIS, okay? And anyone Muslim who has a long beard, they automatically say, oh, look, that's Osama bin Laden, and they think about Osama bin Laden and killing and this and that and so on and so forth. We know what the media has tried to do. and the countless Muslims that have been affected by this, even before the concept of the Taliban and ISIS and so on and so forth. Um, just the concept of the Muslim countries being taken over and colonized by the French, by the British, by the Italians, by the Germans, all right, by the Spaniards, and the people that made the Muslims think and feel that the beard is nasty and disgusting. And a clean shaven face is the best thing. He said, Gillette, the best a man can get. All right? And the concept of men wanting to imitate women and men being pretty and clean. They say, Rajul Aniq. You find the barbershops and the hair salons today overseas. And they don't just mean by Rajul Aniq, a gentleman meaning a man who holds the door for a woman, who pays for the food, but they mean a man who's clean, who has a ton of perfume on and tight pants and pointy, shiny shoes on his feet and greasy hair, and he dresses like one of the kuffar, all right, and he has on a chain and a wristwatch and so on and so forth. Rajul Aniq, and he want to wear tight pants and have alcohol perfume on and look slick like a fashion model. Okay, and you'll find men overseas in a prophet city. They'll sit in a barber chair for 30 minutes while a guy waxes his face and puts a hot steam towel on his face and takes the string and unthreads each follicle of hair from his face until his face becomes green. All right. You watch on the television the different kings, the different leaders of the Arab countries, the Muslim countries, and they all have, or not all of them, most of them have totally clean shaven faces. Okay, and their faces are smoother than the faces of boys and girls. And they want to look like women and be like women. They want to be feminine. They want to be European. All right, we explained all of this and the harms and the dangers of this and the importance of Islamic identity and the importance of Islamic roughness. Being clean, being neat, being smooth, but also being rough and being a little gritty and having having manhood. Okay, we explained all of that in detail. And the severe dangers that face the Muslims today, face the destruction of the proper understanding of Islam and the proper application of Islam and the proper identity of Islam today. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ وَحَسْبُنَا اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. Moving forward to chapter number 17, the author says, Babul Istitaba. Al-Istitaba basically means the etiquettes of using the bathroom or relieving oneself, one may say answering the call of nature, etc. The proper do's and don'ts, whether they're mandatory or recommended, with regards to relieving oneself. Hadith 148. حديث أبي أيوب الأنصاري أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا أتيتم الغاية فلا تستقبلوا القبلة ولا تستدبروها ولكن شرقوا أو غربوا. قال أبو أيوب فقدمنا الشام فوجدنا مراحيض بنيت قبل القبلة فننحرف ونستغفر الله تعالى. The first narration is narration of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, 148. He reports that the Prophet ﷺ said, when you wish to relieve yourselves, do not face the Qibla, nor turn your behinds to the Qibla. However, either turn to the right, he says, either turn to the east or the west. Either turn to the east, either turn to the west. Abu Ayyub al-Ansari said, so when we reached Sham, we reached the area of Syria, Lebanon, this area of Sham, we found that the places to use the restroom were built towards the Qibla. So we would try our best to turn away and seek Allah Azza wa Jalla's forgiveness. This hadith here, Hadith Abu al-Ansari, is considered to be an asl regarding the issue of facing the Qibla or turning one's back towards the Qibla. We're going to read the rest of the narrations to take more of the total picture of this mas'ala. Hadith 149. حديث عبد الله بن عمر أنه كان يقول إن الناس يقولون إذا قعدت على حاجتك فلا تستقبل القبلة ولا بيت المقدس. فقال عبد الله بن عمر لقد ارتقيت يوما على ظهر بيت لنا فرأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على اللبنتين مستقبلا بيت المقدس لحاجته. حديث عبد الله بن عمر قال التقيت فوق ظهر بيت حفصة لبعض حاجتي فرأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقضي حاجته مستدبر القبلة مستقبل الشام أو الشام. Hadith 149 is reported by Ibn Umar. He says that people say that whenever you wish to relieve yourself, don't face the Qibla nor Jerusalem, Bayt al-Maqdis. Abdullah ibn Umar says, one day I climbed the roof of one of our homes, and I happened to see the Messenger of Allah relieving himself, mustaqbilan, facing Bayt al-Maqdis. He was facing Jerusalem. Hadith 150 is the Hadith of Ibn Umar, in which he says, one day I climbed the roof of Hafsa's apartment for something that I needed. And I saw the Messenger of Allah relieving himself with his back towards the Qibla, facing Sham. So 149 and 150 clearly have some type of outward or supposed clash with regards to the dilala of both hadiths. Abu Ayyub al-Ansari says, don't turn towards the Qibla or turn your back. Don't face it or turn your back to it. And Ibn Umar says, I saw the Messenger of Allah with his back towards the Qibla, facing Sham. So these two hadiths, once more, they prove, Abu Ayyub al-Ansari's hadith proves one thing, and as if the hadith of Ibn Umar, the two hadiths of Ibn Umar prove another thing. And this is why the scholars of Islam differ on this issue. Some of them say that it is totally haram to face the Qibla or to turn one's back towards the Qibla when using the restroom, when you're relieving yourself in some kind of nature, however you word it, in or outside of a building. In or outside of a building. Others say it's haram outside, permissible inside. Others say facing it is one thing, turning it back is another. And the list goes on of the khilafat of the fuqaha regarding this issue. Perhaps the strongest view, and Allah knows best, is that it is haram to face the Qibla. It is haram to turn your back towards the Qibla in or outside of a building. And the hadith of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari is strong, it's qawli, it's a wording of the Prophet. And the hadith of Ibn Umar is muhtamal at best. It's possible. The Prophet, he was doing something. He said to the companions one thing. What he did could have been specific to himself. He may have had a need. And the list goes on. We don't know. But the Abu Ayyub al-Ansari's hadith is clear and frank. Sarihud dilala, right to the point. Do not do it. Also, the Prophet didn't specify in a building or outside of a building. Let alone the fact that what's the chances of someone being in Medina and not having no building, no mountain, nothing between them, between the Kaaba al-Musharrafa, the Qibla. Very, very far-fetched. Meaning that it's just unlikely that he wanted to specify inside or outside. So perhaps that's the correct view. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. The scholars of Islam, they say this is for the purpose of respecting the Qibla, having honor, giving honor to the Qibla, and not disrespecting the Qibla with regards to relieving oneself. So therefore, once more, is the issue of khilaf of the ulama of Islam. And some of them take different views. The view that we think and we believe to be the strongest and the most safe is that one shouldn't do it. And if you are in a building in which most buildings today, people don't know what is or what isn't the direction of the Qibla. You may go to a public bathroom, traveling, airplane, and the list goes on. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Fear Allah to the best of your ability. There's no haraj. However, if you can, and if you do know, then try your best not to do one of the two. Obviously, this hadith or this mas'ala is a manifestation of the different concept of secular Islam and the concept of the sunnah being implemented completely and thoroughly when there's an Islamic state, a land of Islam, in which everything is constructed and configured around the Sharia and not the opposite, in which Muslims who live as a minority in Western countries, or you live in the Middle Eastern countries or the African countries, and there are tons of Muslims, but the actual system of government is not what it's supposed to be. It's not what it's supposed to be, of the Sharia, of the Kitab, and of the Sunnah being the constitution, of an actual madhab being the actual bylaws of the state, In other words, the rulings on marriage, divorce, on punishments, on the penal code, the rulings of inheritance is based off an actual school of thought. The judges are Hanafis. The system is based off of Hanafi madhab that's based off of Islam, Kitab and Sunnah, or Shafi'i, or the courts are actually Hanbali courts, in which the ulama of Islam, the qadis, the judges, all follow this way. You have to pay this much, and you have to have these amount of witnesses, and this is how the body is buried. So when the land is not like that, then you fall into all different types of things. In other words, in the Islamic land in which the Sharia is dominant, and which the ilm is clearly established, the people, when they construct things, you have different codes. Do not make the bathrooms in this direction. The bathrooms, the toilets, the latrines are made in a different direction because of this ruling. Just like any other aspect of life. When I was in India and we were dining in the hotel, Allah Alam, how many stars the hotel was, maybe 6 stars, Allah Alam, very exquisite place. And you go into the dining hall, the cafeteria, whatever you want to call it, and all of the different wonderful dishes, the pies, the soups, the foods that they had markings on them. A green dot and a red dot. A green dot meaning it was good for Hindus to eat from. A red dot meaning it contained meat, it contained some type of dairy, it contained something that a Hindu could not eat. So the hotel, even though it was intercontinental, it was 6 stars, 7 stars, I don't know how many stars it was based around Hindus. It was suited for Hindu religion, Hindu culture, Hindu Sharia. So they won't fall into anything that goes against their sacred beliefs. And the same applies to cows. They told me, the brothers in India, they told me that the cows, you cannot touch them, you cannot move them off the road. You cannot, it's impermissible, unlawful to have steak, to have beef in public places. In most of the states of India. Some provinces, some regions, you could eat beef. They also told me that one of the biggest exporters of beef in Asia was a Hindu Indian. That's a major contradiction, but the proof we're trying to get to is clear. The point we're trying to get to is clear, is that there were things that were built around the Aqidah of Hindu, around the Sharia of Hinduism, and not the opposite. And Muslims who are weak and were inferior, and everything's an excuse. No, we can't do it. It's 2017. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. And the same applies to Jews. You go to the different cities and states in the United States in which there are abundance of Jews. The stores, the supermarkets. You go online, you order something. You go on Amazon, you go on Google, and it's kosher, clear as day. Kosher, glot, hand slaughtered, salted, overlooked by a rabbi. The dietary laws of the Jews are respected. And everything is based around what they believe. You go to different places in which we have the Amish, upstate Pennsylvania, Lancaster, PA, different places like this. The lights, everything is structured around what they believe is sacred. So the same should be for the Muslims. Why can't the Muslims make things based off of what's correct and what's incorrect? So if the Muslims in America who want to follow the Sunnah and who do take this understanding of the Hadith of Ayyub al-Ansari, if you're making an Islamic school, then you have to have someone who has fiqh, who has knowledge of the deen, of construction, of engineering, of carpentry, of plumbing, and make the bathrooms in a direction other than the Qibla. As far as if you have a school, that's one thing. But if you do have the ability to remodel, then that's what should be done if it's not a haraj. All right? And as we mentioned examples, the other face, the batil aqidah that they have, and the batil, fake, false, corrupted sharia, but they still apply it. They still structure their business, their holidays, their schools, their buses, their school buses. They structure the things around what they believe. Jewish women, how do they dress? What do they wear? How do they cover? They structure their lifestyle around their sharia. And many of the Muslims today are the exact opposite. We try to structure the sharia around our daily lives in New York City. We try to structure it around our desires and our whims. The Hadith about Ayyub al-Ansari also shows us the piety of the Sahaba and the Tabi'een. And the Hadith of Ibn Umar also shows us the concept of refuting views and opinions. And that is not, as the people want it to be, everything is agreed upon among the Salaf al-Salih. Is ijma all the time. That's not true. Ibn Umar says, Inna nasan. He says, there are people who say. And he refuted that view with the sunnah, what he thought was correct and what he believed was his correct madhab. So it shows us that Ibn Umar was a scholar and he refuted what he believed to be incorrect with the proof. And there was no person that was sacred. You can't say anything. You can't differ with this person. As we live among the blind followers and the worshippers today, any one time Sheikh Fulan says, oh, khalas, it's done, finished. Don't even think about it anymore. That wasn't the way of Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma and the Sahaba al-Kiram. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulih.